Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan. Welcome to the Biker Devotional. Today is July 30th, 2024. We are looking at Proverbs 30. And, every year, there's at least once throughout the year that when I read Proverbs 30, verses 11 through 14, I wonder to myself if Agar, the prophet, was looking into today. The verses say, "There's a generation that curses its father and does not bless its mother. There's a generation that is pure in its own eyes, yet it's not washed from its filth. There's a generation, how haughty its eyes and prestigious its looks. There's a generation whose teeth are swords, whose fangs are knives, devouring the oppressed from the land and the needy from among mankind." And I read that, and about once a year it hits me. It's not always the same time of year. Was Agar looking at today? And clearly, we see that attitude of mind in the world we live in, don't we? And yet, things really haven't changed. Agar saw those things even then. And today, a lot hasn't changed. It breaks my heart. Because there's still a generation that curses its father and doesn't bless its mother. There's still a generation that's pure in its own eyes, but hasn't even tried to clean itself up. There's a generation that dresses itself up and tells everyone it looks great and look at me. Generation, how haughty its eyes and prestigious its looks. There is a generation whose teeth are swords and fangs are knives, devouring the oppressed from the land and the needy from among mankind. But there's also a generation at the same time who looks to the Lord. Who cries out and says, "The things I ask of you, Lord. Keep falsehood and deceitful words far from me." Verses 7 through 9. "Give me neither poverty nor wealth. Feed me with food I need. Otherwise I might have too much and deny you, saying, 'Who is Yahweh?' Or I might have nothing and steal, profaning the name of my God." There is a generation, a whitewashed tomb. A generation who thinks that they look good, and yet nothing is right. But there's also a generation who knows the Lord. My challenge to you today is to be that generation that knows the Lord and lives for Him. In my reading today, and I was reading about a king who grew up and was raised by a priest. And from the age of 7 until long into his kingship, he honored God. And then he decided that he was going to go win a battle. And he went with thousands and overcame hundreds. Wasn't a huge victory, was it? But he took all the plunder, took their gods, brought them back, and started worshiping them. And he ended up dying because of it. There is a generation. There is a generation that looks to God. There is also a generation that rejects him. The good news is you get to choose which generation you are. Today, I choose to be the generation that looks to God. I choose to be someone who is looked to and to be evaluated. And that's scary because I fail. And I got to own my stuff. But I would rather be that generation that looks to God than one who curses my father and doesn't bless my mother. Thinks I'm all that and more. Chewing up and devouring all those that are hurting. So my question to you today, which generation are you going to be a part of? What are you going to choose to be a part of? It's not what you're born into, it's your choice. Choose wisely. I love y'all. Hope you have a great day. God bless.